do think it's very justified. As you highlighted, obviously, second tree going to get taken away here as well. The Vi is the remaining of the 3 picks that Peanut loves. The other one is the Sejuani, which is what I imagine owner will go towards, especially if they go for the early Ashe. The Ashe is obviously still a flex pick. The only one that I think we've actually seen play at support recently was Barrel, but we know Carrier can. It was like, what was it, like a 1 year period where he wasn't allowed to play it.
I mean, it's been banned against T1 very consistently, even this season, and I don't think it's because of Gumayushi. Even though he might be playing it here today, I think the flex potential is just so scary, like you've already mentioned. Ona, now, what is he going to be taking away here as LeBlanc slipping through the bans, and FAKER goes back to one of his most famous champions before Azir kind of stole that thrown away. And Zeri being a consideration right now. I don't feel like Zeri gives me a whole lot of excitement, but Tristana feels like it's a little bit better maybe.
Tristana makes sense. We saw Chovy played yesterday as well.
Much better. There we go. The Ziggs locked away.
And to me, this is also a sign that we might be looking towards Hanwha lane swapping. Normally, I think the Ziggs is really fine in any scenario, but if you do end up playing into like Varus Ashe in the bot lane, that's one of the scenarios where I'd be a little worried. As Zeka going to pull out the Yone here. And now, the big question for me, so you can go for the Sejuani, which is great with the Ashe, but does lack the synergy with the LeBlanc. What we've mostly seen is the Viego, which is both picked as a counter pick into the Vi because you can cancel out the ult, and also is a really strong mid-jungle duo. When combined with the LeBlanc, leaves another. It doesn't look like they're going to go for jungle instead, putting faith. It's going to be the Olaf instead, so Zeus, his pick that he pulled up with great success previously, going to get taken away. Between Vi and Yone alone, you already have so much setup available for big Ziggs plays. And one of the big issues that T1 is facing right now is that I think that their engage is really lackluster, and into Ziggs specifically, having bad engage makes your life very, very hard, as it is blind cannon. Now, Zeus is the one guy that plays this in 2 ways, so I do think it's not as counterable as it otherwise might be, and it doesn't lock owner to necessarily an AD champion, but I think the T1 comp feeling a little bit all over the place here. Wonder what's going to tie it all together here, Atlas.
I mean, it's obviously going to be a Sejuani. They have range in both of their solo lanes, so they love picking Sejuani when you can guarantee 0 permafrost synergy and value.
Yeah, the Freljord part of it is great. The top side part of the map is, as you point out, somewhat of a disaster.
Yeah, kind of, it's already making me upset, and it hasn't even happened yet, as Vladimir is being looked at right now. Now, I've said in the past that Viper is the best Vladimir in the LCK. It's going to be locked in. Doran is the one that's going to be playing it on the top side of the map into the cannon. One of the oldest cannon counterpicks that has ever existed.
I have already seen a game, which was also from a Hanwha Life top laner, where he did in fact play in Challengers, the Vladimir.
I remember that. I was like, what? Hasn't this recently happened?
Oh, it did.
And maybe they've been doing in-house scrims, and that's what sort of gave it away.
My boy
as that
played
is
it.
Owner's Lee Sin. That's much better than Sejuani.
Yeah,
and that's Lee LeBlanc.
Yeah, that makes us a lot happier. But yeah, Rooster played it in Challengers. Unfortunately, didn't get the win. Very excited to see what it'll do here. I also am still not sure what Zeus is going to go, because I feel like into the AP variety, Vladimir is going to feel great. Into AD, that's a lot of extra consistent damage. Might be somewhat of a problem, but looking at the comp, T1, they're playing a comp. You have some team fighting power, you know, later in the game, if you can get a good cannon flank off and you can deny vision. But outside of that, this is designed to get as much shove in every single lane, be first to every objective, and...
It's going to be really exciting. Let's jump into the rip for game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Now, you can see Doran here has gone for a very old skin on the Vladimir. I'm personally a little bit disappointed that he didn't go for Nosferatu, which is definitely the hipster choice, and now he's possibly going to die. But no, I don't think T1's going to be able to catch up in time. Carrier trying to get in range of a Winter's Bite. Instead, Doran is just going to make his Sanguine escape.
As we do see the PTA, so I do think that is confirmation. We'll have to see until we get the actual rune set up, but Every time we have seen the PTA, it has just gone to the straight-up AD variety, which I like a lot more than what we've seen of the AP cannon. Obviously, the drawback is that you won't have as much impact with your ult later on, but you should have a lot more pressure in lane. T1 now has also gone for the invade, I think also to look for a potential lane swap. In case that does come through, was still the opportunity at this point. Obviously, no time for that. And also to keep a very close track of where Peanut is going to go. Because, yeah, hasn't picked it yet in summer, but I don't think we need to tell anyone about Faker's LeBlanc. That has been done plenty of times before, and this is what I expect. A lot of early pressure to come out as...
Yep, sometimes you just press exhaust onto a Ziggs and walk it in. The exhaust is also going to be traded there as Gumayusi is going to take a fair bit of damage also from the minions, as we can see.
Pretty unreasonable amount of sustain, and I think post 6 is where we're going to expect to see a lot more aggression, although Zeka...
Yep, Chain is going to connect, good Q is going to come through there as Owner is going to look to try and get it, but he is going to tank that turret a whole lot, and the shield comes in, and that's going to keep Zeka alive. Does have to use his flash, but you can see already T1's game plan is pretty well known there as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned. Yeah,
not bad.
Banky making a surprise appearance as well.
All right, well, Santa Brom is going to be going back. As we can see, Zeka, fresh off the back himself, is looking for a bit of harassment, but Faker is going to be able to dish back quite a bit. As Pool is going to come through there, as some Tides of Blood coming out, and I'm just doing my very best to try and remember what Vladimir's abilities are called, and didn't do too badly. But you can see the trading is not as good, considering the fact that it is the AD cannon, but...
Second item, very common.
Yep.
Rocket Belt, obviously also the buffs that it received recently, where it got a ton of extra health, has made it a lot more desirable, and if you're Vladimir, that kind of does sound like a dream scenario, as we do have the trade coming through here, where the grubs are being taken by T1. We do have the light in the area, but with Prio for top and mid, I don't think that they can get more than maybe a cheeky steal here for Peanut.
Yeah, Peanut is just going to walk in and sort of punch a little bit here as Delight will throw the exhaust down onto Faker. He just pops back to his distortion and says thanks for the summoner spell, as T1 have managed to take all three.
That bot side and mid lane pressure as Ozeka.
Yeah, he is going to get hit. There's the ulti. It is blocked, but does do a fair bit of work as the kick comes through. Chain going to come down, and now Peanut's looking for Owner. He's taking a lot of damage. Cease and desist comes in, and that's first blood to Peanut. And Faker now looking to try and get him, but the arrow is going to sail wide, and he says, top of the morning. Arrow will hit onto Doran. He goes into his pool eventually, but says that was rude. My goodness. Early game tempo advantage I was expecting out of this composition, as Owner is going to look to start off Dragon number 2, and that will mean that both teams trading first couple of Dragons and the Grubs.
I wonder if Doran is going to be in time. So what they did here is they swapped Viper towards top to ensure that they get the Grubs. I think they're a little bit late on this. We'll see. I don't think they're going to get this, but maybe they get the fight.
Yeah, that's a teleport to come in as now Doran throws down the Hemo Plague. Tides of Blood coming out. They put up the door, and that will interrupt Delight, trying to make his way in with the quickness. And so successful disengage here as Viper looking to try and take down some plates in mid lane, and Ziggs doing exactly what he wants to do.
That was really cool, if not for the fact that Doran doesn't still going to get a lot of value out of that. And the Drake is taken here, but Hanwha Life, I don't think they ended up paying too much. Ended up throwing away a teleport, which isn't the end of the world. Doran is still able to catch the bot side wave. And we do have Mountain, which I think for both teams, it's best if you don't give it to the opponent, because they're both very bursty. T1's, I'd say, is more reliant on actually like getting an initial pick. But even for Hanwha,
you watch, perhaps don't heal in dungeons because you will get distracted and people will die. As, okay, there's a Hemo Plague just to try and stop this dive from occurring. Zeka also teleporting down. Will be a couple of plates falling on this bottom side, but now Viper is going to get a full turret, guys.
Yeah, that's a massive win for Hanwha Life, because yes, you trade flash for flash, but that doesn't really matter. Hanwha Life, so they overloaded the top half of the map there with the express intention as, Viper, he is low and doesn't have satchel.
Yeah, it's the flash forward from Faker. Viper is going to flash away, and now Peanut is just trying to play interference. Mega Inferno Bomb comes down. but FAKER is not going to die to that one and is now looking for Peanut, possibly. Vault Breaker should be able to keep him alive here, and the interruption is gorgeous from Peanut. Avoids the Q there as well, and is now thinking that he fancies the 1v1, but T1 in the mid lane are still being able to take more, and this is the kind of mid-game moves we expect from this team.
That final Q wouldn't have made a difference. And T1, all these mid-jungle plays not actually working out due to Peanut and Zeka's ability to just eat these ganks and eat these plays consistently has now meant that the necessary lead for T1 really isn't anywhere to be found, and I don't think that it's lights out just yet, but they need to stack these dragons. It's no longer negotiable, and it's so hard to do anything into this Vladimir.
Yeah, they really want to kill Doran, and another Hemoplague is just going to be employed here on the bottom side of the map to get rid of these minions, and that is going to be successful. Still, this turret is not long for the world. T1 should be able to take that one down relatively soon. That'll even out the gold exceptionally well. But 15 minutes on the clock. Ziggs does manage to get a full turret before the plates fall down. That is kind of par for the course. That's kind of what you want to see. We have seen other Ziggs who's not quite managed to do so, and that makes Orcs disappointed. So thankfully, Viper has done a decent job, as Owner doesn't quite find the Q onto Delight here, who's been pretty quiet so far this game. I think it's been the Peanut show, and he is going to take Shelly and put her down here in this mid lane. See whether they can get it into satchel range, as Zeka does find a nice knock-up onto Carrier. There is the charge. Quite satchel range just yet, but only needs like one short fuse, and then he can...
Top of his targets.
Yep, the walk fast is pretty handy.
Very, very important. Hanwha Life, again, I think they're very happy with this game going late. Not because I think they skill better by definition, but at some point Ziggs just becomes such an insane nuisance, and range advantage to me is really the biggest advantage that Hanwha Life have over T1. Side lane, something like Zeus' cannon might become a problem to deal with, but you have the lockdown to deal with FAKER in this with this Vi. As mid lane turret falls before Viper's might on this Ziggs. Unsurprising, and T1, yeah, they get the dragon, but and then between that and his ultimate, he's gonna have a completely unreasonable amount of MR. And there's a mountainous FAKER. I think he knows this is risky. Vi has the lockdown. Peanut's waiting.
Pops back to his distortion, now that's on cooldown, gets back to the other one as well, underneath the turret they go! But the ulti flies through, the arrow is going to connect! And that is Peanut taken down, Delight comes in to finish the job, and they go 1-for-1, but the turret is going to fall on the top side, T1 taking more.
And FAKER able to drag him back, Peanut not able to set up for the Ziggs. That would have been an early kill. Very, very cleanly done. His owner...
He's just dead here underneath his turret. Will get knocked up by Zeka's Q. That's nicely done there, but a little bit out of place was the Lee Sin.
Yeah, it's easy to forget, because we haven't seen Zeka do this as much, but he is the melee mid guy.
He is the Yone guy.
Yeah, that's at a moment's notice, and this is a big fight right here. Possible soul point for T1, and otherwise Hanwha Life sitting peachy.
Does it feel like do or die? Because I'm starting to get that vibe, as right now T1 collapsing onto this dragon. Doran trying to keep himself alive here in this side lane as Peanut off to the side as well. Viper wants to find an angle.
He'll get
that bomb down, and let's see whether Delight can layer through that ulti. Teleports come in from the Vladimir as the dragon's down to sub 50%. T1 feeling a little bit dicey about this play, considering the fact that it's a 5-stack of Hanwha Life esports players. They do manage to take down Hemoplague, comes in, the ulti from Zeka is gigantic, and everyone explodes. Maker's still alive, Zeus trying to do what he can, but he will just be popped. They get rid of Viper once again. FAKER gets his second kill on him, but he's the last man standing.
It's the Wombo Combo Dream Atlas as Hanwha Life. All those ultimate buttons synced up perfectly, and they just completely blow out T1. If T1 would have gotten the dragon, that could have been the one thing that they didn't even get that. It was Viper that got, I think it was down to like 5 health there. Owner had the Q, I think tried to maybe get back, but instead, looks like Hanwha Life have taken the decisive lead here in this game, #1, and oh man, again.
Oh, the arrow splash damage for the takedown. Yeah, not going to happen. Not this time. And that is going to be the Baron secured here by Hanwha Life Esports. Exactly the right play. We saw already using that Vault Breaker to interrupt things. Like, he is having a day out here today on the Vi. And I think that might have been that straw, you know, that we talk about when it comes to the backs of camels.
Oh, yeah.
Because Hanwha Life Esports with this Baron are pushing down this inner turret on the top side. And with Baron, it's a Ziggs. And he just mows everything down. He's a demolitionist.
And T1, yeah, the composition relies on denying vision. They're not having any.
Horizon Focus is pretty good at getting vision, isn't it?
Also just... Oh.
Okay, Doran is
Vladimir.
gonna press pool.
Yeah, it's Vladimir.
Oh, it's a pool party Ziggs, and he's got a pool ability. Isn't that cool? The Sanguine Pool. Is it a Sanguine Pool party that Viper's having?
Is it also Zeka on the pool party Yone?
Oh, I don't know.
That could be even better, Atlas.
He does look... I think he did have some beach vibes, if I remember. That he's in a side lane right now. We are going to see that Faker is looking to try and deny this take on the inner turret, but it's not going to happen. Another pull going to come forward. There's a Mega Inferno Bomb. So much damage as Gumayushi is just eviscerated. There goes Owner as well, and the ulti comes through from Zeka. Oh my goodness. He does turn up. He's like, is there a beach party happening? And they're going to find it. Delight just whiffs that one completely, but I don't think Peanut's going to go down. Once again, tips the hat as the... Yeah, the Blast Cone is going to get Faker to safety, and Hanwha Life Esports really, like 6,000 gold is now their lead, and they're looking to try and break open the base here at 25 minutes.
Yeah, this is where you start discussing the next game, Atlas. And I think this one is pretty textbook, right? Coming out of draft, we knew T1 had to use the mid-jump.
Or something like that.
The Sunnies, a watch.
Yeah.
Maybe some, you know, an understated
What's the hat
chain.
that Brolaf wears? Maybe that's Doran. All right, Mega Inferno Bomb, just get rid of the minion wave. It is not going to be enough to save this turret. And I think, yeah, Doran might also be dead. The kick does come back, and that chain CCs the Vladimir. A bit of an opportunity here as Hanwha Life Esports are taking a fair bit on the other side of the map as Faker kind of outplaying Zeka here, but he just bounces back. And T1 being able to find some action. All right.
That's such a good game. Only died once.
Yeah, he is also killing it in a turret. It's really cool.
Bounty gold!
He's now really dead, but he did do his job. And they're just not going to waste any cooldowns on him. Did do a fair bit of damage to Zeka, but he is going to be able to get all that back. Infinity Edge now in hand for the Yone. 206. And yeah.
So
Baron's up.
My favorite part of this is that Hanwha Life, like, they're not even afraid. They're actually going to start Baron. Like, they're not afraid of the crossbow because look at their vision.
Yeah.
They know everything that's happening. They can invest a bunch of people to kill an annoying Yordle inside.
They have a Ziggs.
Okay.
Who's got a teleport flank happening here as well. Carrier in a fair bit of trouble. Let's see whether Owner can actually make this one happen.
That could make it extend. There's a bounty as well.
Yep, in goes Peanut. They're looking for the fight. Mega Inferno Bomb comes down. They lock up the Ashe, and they just had a Freljordian bounty out, I guess, on both of them. As now Faker's in trouble. He is just dead. I think that is Hemoplague will be able to finish. Never mind.
Okay, Secret
Chains up
Agent
some of
Owner.
these. Yeah, Owner is just looking to try and get it done.
Okay.
Zeka is 1v1ing the Baron.
They still don't know.
Faker is Alcove Gaming, looking to try and get himself out.
They don't
It's going to
know.
be Viper that
Oh
locks
my
up
God.
that. Sorry, it's Delight that
It's
locks
the
up.
loop gone.
This is super weird. I have no idea what's going on here. He's looped around forever. He's looking for the angle, but he gives away his position. And now they're going to try and get him out of there. The knockup does come on through. The Ziggs locks up the kill. Zeus is not able to take down the Baron, and this game is over, ladies and gentlemen.
Owner just sitting in that brush as his entire team gets massacred. Like, guys, if I can steal
it was like
it'll be
galaxy
worth it.
brain confusion over and over again. And it turned into a little bit of a confusing outcome there as T1, they had to throw a Hail Mary. It did not connect, and Hanwha Life Esports are looking to take down game number 1.
Absolute masterclass from the mid-jungle duo from Hanwha Life here. Able to detect every single early play. And again, I know he wasn't the main character, but that Zig pick, we got to look after it because it feels like it also allows Zeka to just pick Yone like this.
Yeah, and he went 4-0-10, and he had, like, he was the one focused in the early game.
15 ganks, Atlas.
I know, it's Lilia still going to be taken away here. And so the Nasus still up. Could theoretically be picked. See what the Garens are going to look like, as there is the buy first pick that we were talking about. No surprise there. And where do Hanwha Life Esports go with it this time as Ziggs is up, guys? Yeah, just a word of warning.
I do think that the Ziggs is a little bit more reliant on a good comp, but you still pick it, don't get me wrong. but specifically denying Vi Ziggs, I think, is a really good call, because Vi Ziggs, as we saw, like, as Ox was saying, like, Guma couldn't do anything in that game. Like, he couldn't have done anything better because there is no counterplay to someone ulting you, and then the combo that followed, you know, instead going to go towards the Sejuani, which is a great pick for him individually, but we have actually seen struggle. This is something we saw Aining pull out as well, which is the Seraphine, which I personally wouldn't dislike. It'd be very funny to me if we're just ending up with straight up, oh, there it is, yeah, mage matchups towards the bot side of the map. But I gotta say, you need a consistent source of 80 damage from somewhere. Like, you can't just have Seraphine and then Vi Nessus. We saw DK try this and it just didn't work, right? So of their opponents, I do think the Senna ban, even though I don't like Senna into Ziggs because Senna doesn't really have the health to deal with a late game Ziggs. Her healing power on this patch is obviously completely insane. I do think that's one of the things that you can struggle with when it comes to the Smolder. But the funny part to me is that, like, Ziggs could still, we don't think it's gonna be, but Ziggs could still be mid. Smolder can be flexed into multiple positions. Hanwha Life haven't really given too much away, and it does look like they are gonna most likely leave counterpick to Doran after we've seen where T1 puts their Nessus and where everything on T1 is going. But it could be Smolder top, it could be Smolder mid, which I think is most likely. But
yeah, there's flexes everywhere.
It's hard to read drafts on red side. And I think that is something that's highlighted it. Hanwha Life is doing here what T1 didn't. T1 actually showcased their draft as...
Whoa, that's Olaf Shen!
Okay, well, now I still don't know what's... Is it Shen support into the Leona?
I think it kind of has to be.
It has to be, right? Well, I mean, it could be Nessus support with WMAX.
T1 have picked a lot of melee champions and Seraphine.
I don't think that really works into the Ziggs. Is it... Okay, so most likely...
Do we just play Vladimir again? Well, Renekton is just going to be locked in.
R5 Renekton,
the good old R5 Renekton. We've gone back to the KT strats. So Sejuani Renekton, baby.
Okay, but that is itself counterpick.
Yeah, it's not great.
It makes Peanut's life better. That's the main thing. It does not make Doran's life great. I'm not too sure about that one.
Do you know what they've done? They've they've nailed a target onto Doran and said, you can have him. Just let us stack up our Smolder and take turrets on Ziggs. Like Doran is actually just going to be a handbag walking around asking to be stolen. It looks kind of okay, but T1, they're cooking. So jump onto the rift.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the rift for the second game of this series. Hanwha Life Esports finally on the red side, and T1 able to flex their blue side chops. Carrier, you can trust him. He's a doctor. And let's see whether he's going to be able to take down Peanut here, as Owner is going to be spotted there on the vision. You can see Carrier just moving on in, see whether he can get some vision down himself.
Shen is kind of a dream champion into many of the things on Hanwha Life, because obviously into Leona makes sense, right? Leona isn't able to get her Q off because it relies on her getting an auto. Ziggs, even though his damage isn't relying on it, still has some pretty chunky autos. But particularly when you get Carrier to the top half of the map, where there's a Sejuani and a Renekton who just don't really do a whole lot. If they can auto attack, gonna get a ton of value there. FAKER actually not going for the area, which has been most popular, but going for Phase Rush instead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Still going to be doing the same thing here.
But it looks like...
Okay, Carrier just going in. Can mitigate a lot of this, but FAKER's going to move over. That is so much Spirit Fire value. The flash out from Peanut. And Delight is going down low. Doran now trying to tank things up as Carrier might be taken down, but he gets the shield as he pulls back the scalpel. And there it is, the Spirit Fire. Last hit for first blood for FAKER. A few stacks built up already. So looking kind of all right, but it looks like T1, they have their eyes set on this Infernal Drake. Should be able to take that one down as Delight is in the area, but Peanut is not. So they're not going to be able to stop this. Peanut is just going to have to trade it for some grubs that are going to be coming up now.
Yeah, also don't have botline prio. Viper did have to back. Guma TP back, so he will be able to shoot that wave as
that Shadow Dash was that was a gimme. That wasn't very fair. Looked like it hit him.
That does some. I feel like his Shen's dash always feels like it goes a little bit further than it actually does, as we do see 2 grubs being taken here by Hanwha Life. So still not a bad trade. Owner will be able to pick one up, but he is substantially behind in CS, not so much in experience, especially if he does end up getting the camp. Obviously has been pretty proactive on the map, and
carry.
Never mind.
River Shen
I guess he's
doing work.
He's not getting the experience. Plays that are going to go down. We'll see when Doran has the read, because as of right now he doesn't.
Well, he is going to get taunted. Speed drop does come through. There's the encore, and Doran is just dead. Didn't have a chance to do anything at all.
He did not get the message, in fact, and he found out too late, unfortunately for him. Ends up going down, and now the swap's worth it.
Yeah.
So easy.
Sometimes you make the weird play so that your opponent doesn't expect that that play was made, and that's precisely what T1 just did. And now they're going to be able to grab some plates here as well. No teleports at all on Hanwha Life Esports, so getting back to this top lane is going to be a rough one.
Oh, that's a 4-man dive.
Yep, looking for an opportunity. Ragnarok is up and available as he has thrown it down. Mega Inferno Bomb, pretty difficult to outplay that one, and it's Mom that's able to lock down the kill. Still, Zeus gets one back, as Peanut couldn't tank the turret forever. Hanwha still with some extra time here with the turret, and that is certainly good, but not as clean as what we saw from T1 top. And he is stacking. 80 already here at 9 minutes isn't too bad, and these sneezes are starting to hurt. As Delight's moving in, there's the flash. Zenith Blade gets the flash out from FAKER. And Delight just taking some summoner spells. Well played, Peanut. Looking for his go here, level 7. There's the flash, Arctic Assault, and the permafrost comes down. Peanut once again tanking the turret, and that is going to be Zeka getting a stack and a kill at the same time.
Even with the Shen ult being invested, it's not quite enough to keep FAKER alive. And I'm pretty sure Peanut didn't show. So that was actually really well done there. Like, if he doesn't show, FAKER just sees the light mid, you know, thinks that the gank is done, and then that's the end of it. Not knowing that there is a man still waiting for him to step up, and Nessus, again, season 1, season 2 champion, does not have dashes, so just die.
It has been nice knowing you. Babu. And 10 minutes. There is still 3 minutes left for him to take more of these structures off the map, as Doran is going to spot Zeus here. Peanut moving up as well. There's the ghost popped. Didn't actually want to press his ultimate button to avoid getting stunned. Knew that he was far enough away, and more flashes being gleaned here by the Hex Flash of Delight. Here on this bottom side, 5 plates for a Ziggs team? Golly gee, I'm a little bit frightened about what that means.
They still have a bunch of time, so they can just rotate him to mid, rotate him to top.
Yeah.
Looks like T1 will be able to get to, Hanwha Life able to get to free grubs here. They do push Peanut off. They do have to give him a dragon, but Dragon in himself, not the end of the world.
X-Tech going to come through. Yeah, Guma is in a whole host of trouble. That's too many circles, and Viper is able to lock down the kill before the Smolder comes in and steals it away. Might actually be a negative, just for getting as much value as possible, but I think he deserved that one. And Hanwha Life Esports is also able to defend their outer turret in the mid lane. Owner comes on over. They will be able to even out the grubs most likely, as Doran is going to at least just chaperone Zeus as he heads back home. Zeka in the mid lane, going to force a teleport out from Gumayushi.
Gang, we cannot give Viper a free inner. That is not a thing we can do.
Well, FAKER is going to get hit by a bouncing bomb that does do a fair bit of damage here, as we can see. Viper starting to get to work with that Luden's already built up. And everyone is going to turn up. That is, Nasus turned into a ragdoll and thrown about the place. And you can see FAKER there in the player cam, not happy about how that one went, as it is brother versus brother. Never mind, as Zeus is, of course, an Olaf, and he is just going to be able to take down the Renekton. No worries there at all. Delight now underneath this turret, not exactly where he wants to be, because Owner is turning up as well. T1 kind of taking matters into their own hands as they look to get rid of Delight, who is able to taxi his way out. Carrier is going to trade 1 for 1. That was gorgeous from the Leona player, but they're still going to lose an outer turret in the top lane.
It's very telling that despite all that, Hanwha Life that's going to be a big moment.
T1 have also taken more play call, which is kind of nutty, as Peanut's going to turn up. That is Ragnarok popped here from Zeus, but it's going to run out very quickly, and Delight is, of course, exactly where he needs to be. The Shield of Daybreak comes down. And there is the Mega Inferno Bomb. It's Eclipse that manages to pop and take the kill, as Zeka is now flapping over a wall, and Faker's like, I wanted to flash, but I can't flash. He couldn't justify it in that moment, but you could feel that that's what he wanted to do. That's going to buy them some space, looking for this soul point. Viper should be able to at least eliminate the minion wave. This will get a charge, as we can see. He's going to have to spend some time poking Shelly in the eye, and that is going to allow T1 to start this one up. Faker on the bottom side of the map, teleport to come in here from the Renekton. And Hanwha Life Esports, they really want to fight for this. The Ziggs rotating over, of course. Viper does have a lot of range, so he can affect these team fights as Ona. Ball breaker now on cooldown for the next couple of seconds, and Doran gets into position. That's an ulti out. The Encore goes entirely wide, and that is the Smolder going down. They do get rid of the Olaf, but have they done enough? The flash over the wall from Viper. Peanut desperately chasing after Ona because they want to take down this smite. The Dragon all but forgotten right now, but Hanwha Life Esports still doing so much damage as the Seraph Shield does go off. And Carrier actually hopping back into the pit here. Does, of course, have the Shadow Dash and use that to get back over the wall.
Yeah, there's a lot of teleports available, Atlas. A lot of sums being used for Hanwha Life, though. But if they get this Dragon, that might be a worthwhile investment.
5
6 seconds on Zeus.
Yeah, he is going to be coming in very, very quickly, is the Smolder. You're talking about the Viking as well, Hanwha Life Esports. I think this Dragon does belong to them, but T1, can they find a fight? No Ragnarok here for Zeus, and there is a lot of CC. Beat gets dropped, but doesn't really do too much there. And the Achu does come down. So that's going to be T1 taking down an outer turret in the mid lane. They trade that. Everyone is very melee. As 221, pre-20 minutes, by the way. Zeka is going to hit his stacks for the execute so incredibly early. And we did warn that this was going to be a possibility, right? Into the Nasus. This Smolder will be able to freely stack up. Zeus getting to work on this bottom side. And the side laning, the split pushing, kind of working out here as Doran is going to rotate over. There we go. 225 plus has been achieved. As Doran does come in and gets a decent little flash. Closer.
There we go.
Or other buttons or something like that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, Baron is going to get started up immediately. Vision does go down. Viper does have his ulti up and available. Let's see whether he can actually connect it here. As T1 in position, the Achu comes down. There is the ulti onto the Smolder, the Solar Flare, just to get rid of Ona. And look at that! The Viking runs in and immediately pops like a balloon. There's just too much damage here, and it's a double kill for the Smolder as a result. That Hexgate from Carrier is going to be able to get him over his side of the map. But now Zeka could be in trouble. Gumayusi needs to be respected. The Spirit Fire comes down as well. That's Narnia, Peanut. That's not where you want to throw the ultis, but you can see Viper able to keep them at bay. Still, Hanwha Life Esports health bars are getting down very, very low. And I don't think they're going to be starting off a Baron.
Yeah, remember what we were talking about earlier, where like V2?
Yeah, here we go. Looking for the angle. As the Hextech Dragon has been pulled out, the rest of T1 moving over. Delight is going to spot Ona here. As they take the Hexgate in, Zeus is going to turn up as now Peanut down to half health. Faker also having to flash to get himself out of the way, and Delight down to 50%. Solar Flare is going to connect. Gumayusi doesn't find the ulti as Mega Inferno Bomb does a lot of damage to him, and now Hanwha, they get control of the Dragon. Ona is looking to move in, but he's not able to lock that one down, and look at the damage from Zeka. He's found his window and will be able to take down the Shen. And now Hanwha Life Esports is just clean up. Faker is going to get permafrosted, and it looks like he will get chased down. There's just too much CC, too much opportunity, and once again, Zeka is just getting so fed in this game.
And Hanwha Life just looks so much cleaner, Atlas. It's very straightforward. Everyone knows what their job is. Everyone's in position. And the Baron, just winning the fight alone would have been huge. Just getting the second Hextech Drake. But the Baron as well. Owner still 10 seconds before he's alive. And I don't know if Zeus and Guma, especially without the ult for Guma, can do anything about this. Carrier's on his way, almost as his ult, but...
Oh, doesn't find a Zenith Blade as now. Let's see whether the Olaf can actually get this one done. As Zeka just says flaps and he'll get himself out of the way. Look at Viper, he's just standing on a satchel to make sure he can't get CC no matter what happens, but the Smolder does fall down, and the flash from Gumushi comes in. He's going to be able to get that high note, lands it onto Doran.
Wait.
And Hanwha Life are not able to get the Baron. They lose 2.
They might be able to mash.
The beat
might be able to
get
mash.
dropped. Okay, so now T1, they're back in the driver's seat, and I have no idea how they did it.
Faker, press that R button, please. Please, we gotta chunk through this. They're still at the ready.
Yeah, Peanut is just going to look for a red buff and then hopefully come in for a steal. Owner is going to be there, so it's going to be a 50-50. Viper is also there as well. This is real dicey. Throws in the satchel. Delight's going to get in there. There is Carrier over the wall with the taunt, but it's a little bit too early. They're going to look to try and take him down. The blast cone does come in. Peanut, can you actually get in there? It's the cease and desist. Peanut still surviving for such a long time. Mega Inferno Bomb not quite doing it. And now it's the Ziggs versus Goomer and Faker. Let's see whether Viper can actually try and take this down. It's down to 1,000. Oh God, the bombs. The satchel's not enough. And Faker with all the stacks is able to cue the Baron to death. What a weird game.
And just as it looks like Hanwha Life is about to close.
Topside, Doran is going to face check Carrier, and this is probably a dead Renekton, and by probably I mean definitely. Everybody else just getting themselves the heck out of here.
Actually really cute from Carrier, so he walked into Doran and then taunted back so that Doran would walk into him. Which, they have Baron buff, like they can basically equalize the gold. Again, is that enough? I don't know. But they should be able to turn the look at the timers on the Red Bull Baron power play and the Hextech Drake. They should be able to get Soul Point. And if you get Soul Point with Seraphine and Nessus, maybe you can turn it around.
There's a possibility. And now it's time for us to talk about the scaling options of T1, I guess, because we have been doing that a fair bit for esports. They do teleport Doran into the mid lane just to get the Renekton back into position.
Oh, Zeus.
This is a lot of jockeying. We can see right now as the Achu going to be avoided there by Faker. Throws down the Spirit Fire. It's not doing quite as much as it was earlier in the game. As now Carrier, possibly out of position, is going to be able to get himself out of the way. And now Owner, he's started up this Drake. Hanwha, they're just looking to try and get this fight working out as Carrier has to flash to get out of the way of Zeka. And now Peanut just biding his time. Zeus looking for the angle. It's going to be that 50-50 like you were talking about, but it's Peanut that locks down the Dragon. Owner unable to flash the mom damage, but does at least get himself out of the way in the fury of the sands. Here from Faker as he walks away from the fight. T1 do not want to push any further forward than they have to, especially with nothing left on the table.
You see the Smolder value there as well, Atlas. The fact that you can just queue for that you just kill Nessus before he gets to Q you twice as Owner.
All right, Peanut just bypasses him. The Solar Flare going to connect, and they get the priority target. Oh man, I thought they were going to focus Owner, but instead they get the Seraphine, the flash forward from Peanut to make sure Owner cannot escape. They'll take his GA, and then they'll take his life. The satchel put in place, and Zeka's able to lock it down. I think Peanut may have just got him a POG with that one. That was gorgeously played. Doran now looking to take down his brother, actually, in this moment. As Faker on the Nasus is just looking to hold the wave, but Hanwha Life Esports, they just want to kill a Baron.
Peanut with the bamboozle. Owner walks in, he's like, I'm not here for you. I have a much more important target. Gets on top of Guma, catches him off guard. That is going to be the Baron going over to Hanwha.
Moving on in. We'll be able to put on a fair bit of pressure, and Carrier gets over as well. Peanut isn't exactly a priority target, and now Doran's going in, looking for the angles here. The Permafrost comes down, and Owner, no GA anymore, and is just going to be cut down where he stands. His timer is exactly the same as that of the Dragon, so he's not going to be there for the Hextech Soul. And meanwhile, Zeker's just kind of winning the game, I guess. Taking down this inhibitor turret and inhibitor in the bottom lane. Some teleports being used, but I think Hanwha Life Esports just have winning the game on their minds right now. Teleports to come in from Doran as well, and now Delight, I think he's found Zeus, who is just going to get chain CC'd. I mean, he's an Olaf,
that's Olaf,
so he doesn't really get chain CC'd, but he has to use it, and now he's able to take down the Leona. That's not your base gate, so getting out here is going to be difficult. However, both of them can make it over walls, and so Doran and Delight are just dead. That's a lot of Ds.
Hey, that might be enough for T1 to contest.
Well, Carrier's just going to flash to get the taunt onto Zeka, but he just dies. Zeus is now in trouble. One sneeze from Zeka and he will be dead, although the sneezes do about 50% of anyone's health bar. so that would make some sense as Owner has come in with the base gate. There is a phenomenal arm guard utilized here from CERCA, immediately flashes after him and burns him to death. Straight out of the death chamber, straight back in again. And Owner is unfortunately not going to be able to deny this Hextech Soul. So somehow, after losing Delight and Doran for basically free, they still overextend, and it is going to be a Quadra Hextech Soul.
Yeah, we knew it was over, but now it's...
But he did have, you know, like, what if the timing just shows that you barely even skip a step?
Yeah, I guess.
You know, that's kind of cool. As Carriot going to get slowed down here, as they do manage to eliminate the minion wave quite effectively. Looks like Peanut pretty happy to tank up the turret though. Mega Inferno Bomb just to soften Gumayusi in that backline, but not really doing too much. Still, it's going to be up again exceptionally fast. I mean, it's Hextech Soul, Quadra stack. The amount of ability haste is just revolting, and it's a 4-0-14, 322 CS6.
They have stopwatch on Zeka. Like, there's just no way. You need to try and catch him off guard somehow as this is it!
Yeah, Faker is going to walk over a ward though. Doran is chasing after him, and Hanwha Life Esports, they know exactly what's going on. Base gates! Sorry, Hextech gate to get Faker out of there, and everyone really wants to try and kill him as Doran's going to get into the brush. That is going to stop the teleport, and Faker, he does have Asterix. It's mano y mano. Doran is looking to try and take him down, is going to be able to blast cone his way out. And Faker is taking them on a merry jaunt through their own base. Doran is the one tasked with stopping him.
We're TPing? Okay, now that's just straight disrespect.
This is very weird. They really want to kill Faker as Viper is going to satchel him, and Faker is dead. So it did take a long time.
Well, I didn't really invest anything. Well, they invested TP, but no one really cares about that.
Yep. They do still have this inhibitor down in the bottom lane. Peanut just going to usher in those super creeps as this turret not long for the world. Viper does so much damage. Even like per auto, it's like half an inhibitor worth of damage, and they can also slow them perpetually. They have Hextech Soul, and so T1 lose an inhibitor in the mid lane as well to get a positional advantage around the Elder as Solar Flare is going to connect onto Faker. He takes the kitchen sink. The mum damage kind of massive there as well as Fury of the Sands keeps him alive, but Ona doesn't have one of those, unfortunately. Down to the GA. Once again, Zeka just says, no, you're not ulting me. That is just not something you're allowed to do, and now the Viking trying to get on top of him, but Zeka's just not even taking damage. He gets a triple kill in the fight, and Faker and Guma, they realize that I think it's just not quite going to work out. Delight trying to look for him. He flashes over the base gate. There isn't anybody else there, but he is also so tanky, I don't even think it matters. Maybe someone else doesn't even really need to be there because Mega Inferno Bomb has infinite range. He once again goes in looking for Faker. He won't be able to tank up that last turret shot, but he's still able to get the work done. And now Gumayusi, he's not able to defend the base, and the game is over. Hanwha Life Esports will move to match point in the series.
16-2, Atlas.
That was a weird game, Chronicler.
Atlas really has been a big issue, and if they don't B1 it here, it just is okay. Thank God.
There we go.
This was a sign that they can't play it. I'm happy. I'm happy already. This is great.
Well, Zig's gonna be locked in. Not sure where it's going. The Tristana ban is a little quizzical.
It's perhaps like Viper Seraph or something completely cursed.
It could be something like that.
Oh.
As Hanwha Life Esports, they do get access to the Vi. They're going to lock that one in. Could be something like Vi Talia to lock in here on the red side if they would like to, but could also just be taking away a bot lane. They might want to prioritize. Not sure what Viper wants to play. It will be his first game off the Ziggs, and he could be playing the Smolder here if he would like to. Instead, just heavy dive as the Kai'Sa are going to be locked away.
Okay, I don't know about that one. Man, if only T1 had picked 6 before.
Yeah.
Bit of a questionable decision. Kai'Sa has really dropped in priority, and this to me is a sign that Hanwha Life is going to lane swap, because I don't think you want Kai'Sa in an early lane against the Ziggs. I think in general, it's not great as T1 is just straight up stealing the homework, Atlas, and I love it. I think it's a great choice.
That would be a Yasuo.
Well, it's Zeka, yeah, why not? Yone,
Which
Yasuo,
Wind Brother would you like?
I would prefer the Yasuo, because I think that you can apply threat right from the get-go. but it's Zeka's Yone, so I'm not going to be mad either way.
Yep, I think he can lock in whichever one of these he would like. Something that can put a lot of pressure on the Smolder would be a good idea, and he does.
Life draft. I'm wondering if they want to pick up the Rel is kind of a no-brainer here. Is an exceptional engage support, has been winning a whole lot in playoffs as well. And I also truly believe that even if you go for the quote-unquote counter pick with the Alistair, which it's a great Alistair, but you can't give the Ziggs team a Rel. Like, just don't do it. Carrier going Alistair, I think, is completely fine. Makes a lot of sense. There's going to have to be a blind pick here for Zeus, and it's probably just going to be Renekton. I'm just putting it out there.
Sejuani Renekton.
Or it's like Smolder top and Faker counterpicks the Yone. That's like the only other angle.
Could we have a Wind Brother off? That means that we'd have another brother battle, like we did in the first one. That's really cool if that happens. Well, Camille is another option here. That's a lot of side lane threat for one. Really powerful.
Yeah, I just love Camille when she's picked with Ziggs. I'm a simple man. You know, when you have a lot of overlapping geometrical shapes, even if they're not the same shape.
Oh, yeah, true.
That just works. We saw it with Hanwha in game number 1.
Geometry, baby. That's what gets you across the line. What does Doran do? The Jax Camille battle could be coming in here. That is a lot of hands required. Certainly a fun one, but something that you know, Doran has actually done very well on in the past. I think his Jax has been one of his better champions, but into Zeus, and right now, as far as form is concerned, I'm a little worried.
Yeah, it's also not... I don't think it's one of those matchups that you guaranteed win. Like, if you misplay,
I think
gets ahead.
It's a skill matchup.
Yeah,
right?
I tilted slightly towards the Jax, but it's definitely can go either way. And again, it's a very, very snowbally matchup. And one team has Ziggs, who can just be in the sideline by himself and have a very easy roam timer. Already the Alistair can have a very easy roam timer.
For game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, we skipped that little moment where we see everyone spawning in, but instead, we're just having a look at the defense systems for everyone. Zeka going to be changing up his skin choice moving into this. There are some players that really like to stick to the one skin. Zeka and Deft is another great example of a player that goes with a different skin every single game. And it's good, bit of extra variety. As Faker is going to grab some stacks from Peanut.
1 stack.
There we go.
Immediately.
Grab some stack. Sorry, not some stacks. Just some stack. 1 little bit of stack. They are walking over a ward. They are well aware of what they're doing here.
Yeah, we're swapping.
Yeah, Gumayushi looking for that swap angle. And Doran, very aware of what's going on here. Just going to walk past.
It's been a really good play, but now I just think it kind of misses the mark. Oh, I hadn't had the opportunity to talk about it yet. Makes a lot more sense now. So Viper actually has TP, so no Captain Barry this time around.
Oh, true.
And they TP'd Viper to catch that top wave. Doran's still going to be very, very sad, but Zeus hasn't backed.
Yeah, and he is very, very low. Zeka now in a little bit of trouble, but is able to snap back. Hextech Ultimatum does come down as Mom gets angry as well. A lot of damage there, but there's the flash forward into the crash down. Zeka's going to get interrupted. It's a decent pulverize. This is burning, but he survives! And that is first blood onto Peanut, picked up by Gumayushi. Still, the cleanup is going to be there. Delight likely to fall down, though, in T1. They're stacking up Faker at the same time and collecting some grubs.
And again, they can just TP Camille to whichever wave they'd like. An overextension from Hanwha Life. And
information does go over to Owner here. This wraparound could be absurd. They do know that
have E.
Owner is in the area. They know that this is a 2 versus 2. Peanut continuing to bide his time. As Zeus moving back to the tri-brush. There is the counter-strike. The chain CC's decent. Cease and assist comes down, though, and that's Peanut locking down the kill. The cat and mouse there in that bottom lane, and that 2v2 was beautifully played by Hanwha.
Oh, Peanut continues to find these moments. That's a pick onto Zeus. That was one of the few lanes for T1 that really was setting up for great success. And now Doran, oh yeah,
doesn't go. I would have greeted for the demolish 100%. But I'm glad that he doesn't, because FAKER then doesn't get to stack off the Jax. Yeah.
Some turret plates are the most you're going to get out of this.
A lot of buttons.
Just clears the wave.
Up and available, and a lot of them miss from Gumayusi there as well, so Zeka is still pretty healthy.
Again.
Oh god, we've seen this play before. FAKER is rotating down. Delight's already here though. Teleport to come in from Doran or from Viper as both of them turn up. That is a phenomenal headbutt though from Carrier, trying to get them out of there, but Owner is in so much trouble. There's a killer instinct from Viper. He gets the big old shield. Peanut looking for the angle onto FAKER, but he doesn't have any more gap close, and FAKER's still looking to try and take him down. It's a double now though, and he just walks too far. Doran shuts down the Smolder, and Hanwha Life Esports win the fight.
The coordination from Hanwha proves supreme again, Atlas. As the TP comes in from Doran. Looks initially like they are down a member, and T1 take a big risk trying to force this play, even though it's not quite the same in that they need to win these early games. But I think Hanwha Life, their coordination has been so good. And the one thing that I do think you struggle with Ziggs and Smolder is well-coordinated dive. And Hanwha has a lot of that, Atlas.
They do, and they also have...
Viper will be big.
Yeah, Glacial Prison going to go wide there. Also supercharges out of the way of the Winter's Wrath, and that means that he's going to be A-OK. No flash required.
Doesn't have cleanse. That would have been a kill. Or at the very least force a flash. It's not happening. And Hanwha Life get the objective here as well. The TP Zek at the top, got the shove there.
That's going to even out the grubs here, and means that both the Camille and the Jax going to be on even footing as far as those side lanes are concerned. And moving towards this mid game, we do have the Scryer's Orb does give T1 the knowledge that this is going down. But moving into the mid game, we've got a Jax and a Camille on basically parity. There are 2 Ruby Crystals for Doran in advantage, but we also have Doran on 0 deaths and 100% kill contribution. Like that wasn't on my bingo card at all.
What does it mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, main character, once again, is Peanut.
He's been pretty good.
He has been really good, Atlas.
And of course, the way that it's supposed to go, guys, and the way the script writers have put this together is that T1 goes into the lower bracket earlier, and last time around, Hanwha Life Esports, it was a 3-0.
It was.
In the first matchup, and then T1 comes back, you know, they get a little bit of extra practice against D+, taking them down in a difficult series, and then they'll 3-1 Hanwha Life Esports on their way to the finals. Chronicle, don't worry, it's all still set up. Cloud Salt is going to be coming in as well, my personal favorite. You're going to run real fast, and that feels great. But we'll just see whether T1 can weather the storm, because this time, they're not the ones with all of the onus on them. Hanwha Life Esports need to close this one out. They have been able to do that in our first 2 games, albeit after some shenanigans, especially in Game 2. Hayes played it, what, 3 games in a row?
He did also look like the best
allowed. Yeah,
but that's fake data. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not fake data. He was also just allowed to play it 3 games in a row. So I think
if Guma in and just Satchel, which would have been so cool.
Yeah.
It's like the turret's just gone. They get the turret anyway. I didn't really need to do that, but
he also wanted to be defending the outer turret in the mid lane that Viper is putting a bit of pressure on. Looks like the inner turret is not going to be on the
enemy lines. I think they have a suspicion because Zeus is trying to snoop. Nope, just going to go. And they don't have a lot of vision there. We see some question mark pings. I think they know.
Well, Peanut is walking to the back of the pit. In comes Delight now as the Arctic Assault is going to miss. And now Peanut wants to find a priority target. Crashdown is going to be interrupted there. And Glacial Prison comes through as well. Zeka looking for the angle, but he isn't going to pull the trigger just yet. And now Viper going to get ultimatums. Zeka does find the angle though, and there is the ulti to come through. Mom comes down as well. Viper thrown around the battlefield. They take down the Ziggs, but FAKER is still at full health. And Zeka can't get on top of him. Peanut gets a huge shield though. Still the sneezing comes through, and Doran just picks up a triple kill out of nowhere. That's an ace, and they're like, oh, heck with the dragon. We'll go take a Baron.
It's Doran that comes up huge together with Zeka as T1 makes a colossal mistake, goes way too deep for Viper, just walks into melee range of the Jax, and guess what? No one on T1 can deal with that.
Cooldowns.
Yeah.
And so kind of still did his job. all things considered, as there's a flash forward. They do manage to lock up Viper here, and they will be able to mitigate a lot of the push. Zeus now moving in. It will be the dragon taken, so Soul Point is going to come on through. Great knock-up. There's the Glacial Prison going to be eaten here by Hanwha Life Esports, but now Delight. Crashdown comes on back in. The ultimate, and it is just Zeka taking control. How do they make these things happen? Carrier, he's almost out of cooldowns. He finds one last Pulverize, but this fight is done. And even without Viper there, they still roll over the top. This is probably the best day of League of Legends Zeka has ever had. And he won Worlds in 2022.
Yeah, and also we're coming in, we're like, oh, Doran, yeah, another great series. What have you been doing, my man? And
just
Jax,
still 100% kill contribution, by the way.
Jax does have an incredible amount of power in this draft. Again, Counter-Strike is insanely dominant. 3-0 sweep, unless T1 get the comeback, the likes of which we haven't seen yet this playoffs.
That's what they're relying on if they want to keep this series alive. Hanwha Life Esports looking to repeat what Gen G did yesterday and make the upper side of this bracket look very, very powerful here in the LCK. Teams waiting in the wings will mean that T1 not out of it if they lose this game. They will have to face off against a D+ that did just struggle against Gen G yesterday. An opponent that they have been able to dispatch more recently than not. Hanwha Life Esports have been able to best T1 both times of asking here this season, and look at that gold advantage. 3.7k for Doran. That is a ludicrous amount of money. All right, Blast going to try and get them back in here as there's the Void Seeker. Viper taking matters into his own hands, and Goomer's just dead. There is nothing that they could do about it. Now Carrier's in trouble. The fate is going to get sealed, and even is able to queue out of the way of the Glacial Prison that was lying in wait. They are still taking a bit of damage here as more Void Seekers funnel on through. But this is going to be even more money going over to Hanwha Life Esports. That 10,000 gold gap is very close approaching. What would the fashion analogy be?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of hoping you would give me an opening, but
I thought that was an opening. It was a bit ham-fisted. However, I would say that it was probably an opportunity for you to go for it. That is going to be Cloud Soul picked up here by Hanwha Life Esports. And yeah, it's a lot of money on Viper. He's got 300 CS here.
It's just an everything gap.
It
Atlas,
is.
It really is. Like, looking at how these fights play out, Hanwha Life clearly have woken up very...
Okay, there's the cease and desist. Killer Instinct comes down. Gumiushi this time can go golden, but Delight is going to be here, and Viper just pops him. That is going to be Ona now in trouble. The Crashdown still gets the CC, even with the headbutt, and they're still going. Faker, he's going to go golden, but that is just to watch as the bad guys encroach. He can't get through the base gate as Doran's going to be able to lock him down. That is Viper dead once again, but he's been bait this whole game. And Zeus, he hook shots away. He is going to be able to get some funny business done, but the flash forward and then the counter strike. And I think he is just dead. That's going to be the ace. And Hanwha Life Esports, I think they're just going to say top of the morning to the series here as they look to push in for the win.
And Gen G remains a formidable opponent, Atlas. But you really couldn't ask for more from Hanwha Life, showcasing that they are, in fact, and by a seemingly insurmountable margin, the second best team in the LCK. Because what this team is showing here today, compared to what T1 has brought, what DK brought us yesterday, it's just not enough. As Doran, very nice little showcase there of the interaction. Counter-Strike reducing AoE damage.
Yep, Carrier is looking for a bit of an angle here. They're not able to kill him. Ona is going to walk in though, and teleports are coming down. Void Seeker not going to find the mark, and that would have been a Killer Instinct immediately. He's not going to get headbutted back, but now Doran looking for the angle. Doesn't get the counter-strike as Gumiushi. He's able to flash to get himself out. That is a decent ulti though, and Doran just goes golden. The cease and desist comes down, and now it's Viper at full health, just massacring them. And the wallets, they come down hard. And that is going to be another ace. And that will finally be the win here for Hanwha Life Esports.
Clean ace, Atlas! As Hanwha Life stamps an end to this game and this series.
And a perfect game for both Doran and for Zeka. Incredible performances from the solo lanes in this one, but Zeka, this series for him, I mean, this is his magnum opus. This was absolutely gorgeous from this player.